Welcome back to the Parenting Lab. I don't know about you, but there's something about the beginning of summer that just seems so hopeful. For a lot of us, school is ending soon, and we all have a vision of what our ideal summer is going to look like. It might look like family vacations or late nights, summer camps, pool days, cookouts in the backyard. Whatever it is, your vision is probably full of hope and expectation and a lot of meaning. It's like when we come into this season, we're thinking, oh, this is it. The hectic school year is finally over, and this is when we get to slow down. This is when we get to connect more. This is when we finally get to make those memories we've been waiting to create all year. Maybe you do have a trip planned, or maybe it's just the slower pace that you're looking forward to. But somewhere in there, there's usually a picture in your mind of how it's going to feel, of how everyone's going to be, of what this summer or this trip is going to mean for your family. And it's not always something that we're even aware is happening. It's just this quiet expectation that builds underneath all of that, that this should be good, this should be special, right? This should matter. And then real life shows up. Someone's tired, someone's complaining, plans change, the mental load starts to take a toll. And instead of feeling connected and present, you start to feel irritated or disappointed. And not necessarily overwhelmed, which definitely can happen, but underwhelmed, which I think can actually be worse. Like, this is not how it's supposed to be. I put so much effort into this. Why doesn't this feel better than it does? All right. Now, that gap between what we hoped for our trip or the season, what it would feel like, and then what actually feels like, that is what I want to talk about today. And I'm not going to tell you just to lower your expectations because that doesn't help anyone. What I really want to do is approach this from a deeper place of understanding because, guys, I've been there. And I'm actually going to share a couple of experiences with you from my own parenting that I'm still trying to process through and learn from. Because as parents, and I would say especially as moms, we do assign a lot of meaning to these moments and experiences and seasons in our kids' lives. But why? Why, when it doesn't go the way we imagine, does it leave us feeling so unseen and unappreciated? And even more importantly, how do we stay grounded in what actually matters so that vacations and breaks and seasons like summer don't become just another place where we start to feel like we're falling short? All right. This topic was actually requested by a friend of mine. And when she was talking about it, my thoughts immediately went to my own vacation nightmare stories because it feels like I have a lot. Not because of anything that actually happened. Like looking back, my kids actually have really great memories of our vacations, but it's because my expectations weren't met. So I thought it would be fun to start with my own worst vacation ever. All right. So a few years ago, before my son graduated high school, we decided to go with some family and friends to Europe for Christmas. It was going to be like this grand tour. We were going to go to France and Italy, and we spent months planning it all out, like hotels, transportation, activities, restaurants, all of it. My kids, not excited about being away from home for Christmas. So to kind of alleviate that, I came up with all of these little things that would bring the traditions of home into our trip. All right. And I had visions of them being so surprised and overwhelmed with like the Christmas spirit. Like, Mom, I can't believe you did this. But none of it turned out like I had planned. They fought the whole time. They didn't care about the sacrifices we had made to make this trip happen or the effort I'd put into all of those little things. And I felt completely rejected. 5 days into this 21-day trip, I was on my phone in the dark, like researching how to change my flight and just fly home alone. I was ready to just, you know what, screw all of it. They can spend Christmas alone. Let them try to figure it out, like all by themselves. They don't even know how to get to the next city. I'm the only one that knows how to do that. They don't appreciate me at all. Guys, it was the longest vacation of my life. I literally, because I've never been anywhere for 3 weeks, but on every level. Like when we got home, I could not even talk about that trip for weeks. I was really affected by it. And it took me a while of trying to process through what had happened during those 3 weeks and my reaction to it to understand the dynamics of our family vacations and how my own expectations really had become like a barrier to enjoying the experience the way that I could have and probably should have. All right. Now, we've been on lots of vacations since then, and I still struggle with some of the dynamics of that. But now I'm approaching it from a place of more awareness, and I'm a lot more intentional. So I just want to share some of that with you today. So let's start by analyzing why summer carries so much weight. All right. Now I'm going to use summer in like the context because we're just at the beginning of the summer as I'm recording this in this conversation, but really I'm talking about vacations or breaks from school throughout the year. It's all interchangeable. So why does summer or vacation carry so much weight? I think it's because if you really look at it, it's not just a season and it's not just a trip. It's really a container for a lot of the things that we care the most about. And sometimes we feel like we lose our grip on in the busyness of everyday life, right? So I'm talking about connection and presence and unplugged fun, right? Family time. And for some of us, we might be feeling the pressure of this has to happen now, right? You hear this all the time. It's like all over everywhere. These are the best years. They grow up so fast. You only have 18 summers, right? Make the memories while you can. All of that is true. Time really does feel like it speeds up. Trust me, like my summers with my kids, done, gone. They're all grown up. And I do wish that I would have noticed more and been more intentional about that time. But that belief, as true as it is, can turn ordinary moments into something that feels high stakes. Like if we don't get it right, if we don't create enough magic or enough connection or bring in enough meaning, then somehow we've missed it. But it can subtly shift this perspective from I'm offering an experience to needing that experience to feel a certain way. And that is when the pressure starts to build because now it's not just, hey, fam, we're going on a trip. It's this trip is going to bring us closer together. This needs to be worth all of the time and money that we're spending. They should appreciate this opportunity or my effort or whatever it is that comes up for you. And sometimes, even if we don't realize it, we start to look to our kids to confirm that it worked, that we did it right, that yes, this mattered. And here's the part it's kind of hard to hear, but I'm going to say it. You can plan a trip. You can create opportunities. You can be incredibly thoughtful and intentional, but you cannot control how it feels in every moment. You can't. You can't force connection. You can't schedule gratitude. You can't guarantee that everyone will experience the same thing in the same way at the same time. And when we're holding that expectation, even just a tiniest bit, it changes how we are able to show up in that experience. It becomes less about being there in the moment and more about trying to make the moment be something or trying to make the people in the moment be something. Okay, and that's usually where things start to slip. Like somehow just because we're traveling somewhere special or doing something epic, that everyone is just going to be a better version of themselves, right? The kids are going to be so much more grateful. They're not going to argue as much. They're going to go with the flow. They're going to be flexible. They're going to love everything we've planned. And then as parents, we're going to be so patient. We're going to be more present. We're going to be less reactive. Or our partner is going to step up and just be a real equal in all of the responsibility while we're on the road. That everyone's going to smile in all the pictures. And it makes sense that we want that because we are putting in the time, the energy, and the money, right? The thought. We're trying to create something meaningful. So of course we want it to feel good. But here's what actually happens. We don't leave our dynamics behind when we pack our suitcases and coolers. We bring them with us. We bring our nervous systems, we bring our patterns, we bring our stress responses, our disappointment, our overwhelm, and they don't just come with us. They actually get louder because now we're out of our normal rhythm. Our sleep schedules are off. Our food is off. There's more stimulation, more decisions to make. There's just way more time together than we're used to. So that sibling dynamic that's already there, it's going to show up in the hotel room. If you have a child who struggles with transitions, it's definitely going to show up when it's time to leave the pool. And the parent who feels responsible for everyone to have a good time, that pressure doesn't go away. It just gets bigger. And then there's this moment, this inevitable moment where reality collides with expectations. And now you think, why is this happening? We're at Disneyland. Why is this so hard? But that question is built on the assumption that the environment should change the people in it. And it doesn't. It just brings out what's already there. Sometimes it's more clearly, and sometimes it's more intensely. And if we don't account for that, right, as the manager of the experience, then we end up feeling blindsided by something that was actually super predictable. All right. So now instead of stopping there, we're going to pivot because the goal, of course, is never to feel discouraged. It's to feel prepared, just in a different way. All right. So with this awareness that now we're holding on to some of these unconscious beliefs and expectations, we can change the question from how do I get everyone to behave better on vacation, or how do I enjoy vacation more, to something that's much more useful. And that is, how do I support our family as we are in a more intense environment? Okay. Now that shift in perspective will change how you plan and how you respond and how you experience the whole thing. So when you hold all of that together, the meaning we placed on summer, the hope that things will feel different, and the reality that our dynamics come with us, there's a very natural tension that starts to build. And most of that is happening internally. Because again, you have this picture in your mind of how the day's supposed to go, how the trip is supposed to feel, how everyone is supposed to be showing up. And then in real time, something's going to happen. Complaining, arguing, someone doesn't appreciate something, and it doesn't just land as a tough moment. Okay, we're going to attach meaning to it. We're going to say, this isn't how I thought it was going to be. Why can't they just enjoy this? After everything I've put into this, this is how they repay me. And now you're not just responding to what's happening. You are responding to the gap between our reality and our expectations. Okay, and that is where that emotional charge comes from. It's where your irritation turns sharp, where your patience gets thin, and when control starts to creep in. Because without even realizing it, you are trying to pull the experience back toward the vision you had in your head. So you start managing more. You start correcting more. You start pushing for a certain attitude, a certain tone, a certain level of gratitude or behavior. But the more we try to force the feeling that we wanted, the further away we actually get from it. Because connection doesn't grow under pressure. It doesn't grow when people are feeling managed or threatened into having a certain mood. It can only happen when there's space and safety. So if we go back to a framework that we are already familiar with, this is one of those moments where your head, your heart, and your hands can easily fall out of alignment. All right. So in your head, you're thinking this should be a good experience. In your heart, you're wanting just connection. But in your hands, right, your actions, you might find yourself controlling or correcting or again tightening your grip on what everybody's doing and feeling. And it's often with the best of intentions because you care. But when those three pieces aren't aligned, everything starts to feel off for you and for them. And this is that moment where you start to feel that disappointment, not just in the day, but in your partner, in your kids, and sometimes even in yourself. Like somehow, even here, even in this beautiful place, this cabin by the river, this resort on the ocean, even here, we can't pull it together. We can't get it right. So if it's not about getting the day to go a certain way, and it's not about everyone being happy at the same time, and it's not about everything being exactly how you pictured it in your head, then what is the point? What actually makes these trips and vacations meaningful? Because I don't think any of us are wrong for wanting that meaning. Okay, we want the memories, we want that connection to feel like it matters, of course. But meaning doesn't come from how smooth something looks on the outside. It comes from how it feels on the inside. And more specifically, it comes from whether or not there was enough safety and connection for everyone in your family to be real and then still come back into that connective space. That's what stays with us. It's not the perfectly planned day or the absence of conflict in it, but the moments when something was off and we were able to find our way back to each other. When you can hold space for those big feelings and prioritize individual needs over the itinerary and find humor and joy in the inconvenient moments and fix things when they go sideways. All right. Those are the moments that build something that lasts because they create this sense of we can be ourselves here and here and here and still be okay. And that is very, very different than trying to curate a memory. When we're curating, we are managing the experience from the outside. We're thinking about how it looks, how it feels, how it's going to be remembered. But when we're actually in it, when we're grounded and present and responsive and flexible, then we're experiencing it from the inside. And that's where the meaning really is, right? Not in the highlight reel, but in those micro moments that most people don't even notice. And they're definitely not going to be the ones that you put on your spreadsheet, all right? It's the quiet conversations. It's the laughing when something goes wrong. It's the way we solve our problems together. Those are the things your kids are going to carry with them as memories. And I know that because when I ask my kids about our family vacations growing up, that's what they talk about. They don't talk about the scenery that we saw, the architecture, the culture. It's those moments that I did not even think twice about. And that's their favorite part. And it's not because those moments were perfect, right? It was those moments that we felt connected together, wherever we were in the world. So as you consider how you can make this summer memorable, or this upcoming family vacation or reunion or whatever, I want you to go a level deeper. All right. So put this in your spreadsheet. Like, I know that all of that happens, and I want you to continue to plan and do all the things that keep you organized, right? That's important. But also think about how you can stay connected to your family and to yourself, even when things don't go the way that you expect them to. Okay, Brittany, but how? This all sounds super lovely, but it is hard to release expectations, especially when you have something coming up and you're feeling that kind of pressure. I'm not asking you to change every mindset that you have around vacations and time together. Okay. Just go into these opportunities with a little bit more awareness and a little bit more intention. All right. So, as a mom, I have learned a few anchors that I am still, okay, I haven't arrived. These are things that I'm learning to come back to again and again, right? They're not rules, but they're something that I'm returning to when things start to feel off because I am 100% a victim of my own expectations when it comes to family vacations. So as I'm offering these to you, please know I am not further evolved or even close to being perfect or good at these things, all right? They're simply anchors that keep me grounded and connected to what's real and not just what's in my head. The first is this: regulation comes first, experiences come second. Because if your nervous system is overwhelmed, if you're overstimulated, frustrated, trying to hold everything together, even the best moments can't feel good. And the same is true for your kids. So instead of packing the day as full as possible or trying to make the most of every single minute, just start paying attention to everyone's capacity. Do we need a break? Do we need food? Do we need quiet? Do we need a slower morning? All right. So you're not just planning activities, you are supporting nervous systems, yours and theirs. And that right there starts to change so much. All right. The second anchor is let go of the outcome and stay in the moment. Because a lot of the tension comes from trying to get the day to turn out a certain way or to feel a certain way or to mean something specific. But the more you hold on to that, the more that you're missing what's actually right in front of you. All right. So this is really just a release, not of your care and concern, but of control. Let the moments just be what they're going to be, even if it's slower or messier or different than you imagined. All right. That is where you bring back in that presence part. And the third one is connection over productivity. You don't need to manage a perfectly planned itinerary to make it meaningful. In fact, like I said before, some of those most connecting moments are in those in between transition times, like when you're walking to the car or eating the milkshake or sitting by the pool. When we focus less on building that experience and stay more connected in it, we allow that space to just be together, which is kind of the whole point anyway, isn't it? So don't pack in so much that you rush through all of those really delightful middle moments. Another anchor that I come back to is that you need to expect the full range of feelings and emotions, not just happiness and joy and warm, fuzzy love for each other. Okay? Boredom, tension, overstimulation, off days. Because when you expect only the good parts, everything else is going to feel like something's wrong. But when you make room for all of it, if it doesn't catch you off guard in the same way, then it's just part of the experience. All right. And probably one of the biggest ones, and I want you to listen to this one. You can plan experiences, but you can't plan experiences. Okay. What do I mean by that? Well, you can plan things to do, but you cannot plan or predict how your family members are going to experience it. Okay. Not everyone's going to have fun. Not everyone is going to be fearless or like hiking or want to eat at that restaurant. Not everyone likes museums or zip lining or swimming lessons. You are a provider of opportunities, not a curator of emotions. So try to plan something for everyone, but stop micromanaging how they react to it. All right. Now I want to tell you a funny story about this because this actually it's the perfect story about this. So several years ago, we were in Mexico as a family, and we went to Chichen Itza. Now, I love Chichen Itza. We've been there probably at least a dozen times. I think it's one of the coolest places in the world. But my son, who was maybe 15 at the time, got there and he did not seem like he was interested. It was way hot. We were way tired, and he was not entertained. At least it seemed to me like he was annoyed and irritated because every time I asked him how he was doing, he would just shrug me off or don't touch me or like don't make eye contact with me. He basically seemed like he was having the worst day of his life and not having fun at all. I just spent all day long checking in with him. Hey, buddy, are you okay? Do you need water? Are you having fun? I'm so sorry this isn't fun. I'm sorry that I dragged you here and everything and just ruined our trip. We should just be back at the hotel swimming. Like, oh, it ruined my day. I was very concerned. I couldn't even have fun at this place that I know that I love. Then at the end of the day, we're on the bus back to the hotel, and I leaned over one more time because I'm just so concerned. He's just like got his headphones on and he's just like leaning up against the back of the bus. And I'm like, did you have the worst day ever? And he looks at me and he's like, Mom, that was probably one of the best days of my life. What? How? How was that the best day of your life? You literally were being such a like cranky person all day long. But the thing is, this is where the lesson comes in. If I had just left him alone, I would have noticed that he had his little earbuds in, listening to the commentary of the guided tour, and he was just locked in. He was listening and learning and just taking everything in, and I let it completely ruin my day. I perceived that he wasn't having fun, and that made it so I didn't have fun at all because I was so worried about him all day long. Okay. Now, I wish that I would have been less concerned with him having fun and more concerned with just enjoying that day and being in that place and learning about that culture. Like, I love that place. I had planned the experience, but I was also trying to plan his reaction to it. And because he hadn't reacted the way that I wanted him to or assumed that he would act if he was having the best day ever, then it just caused me stress and agony, right? And his only actual irritation was probably with me because I just kept interrupting his audio tour. Okay? So you can plan experiences, but you can't plan experiences. And the last one kind of sort of ties into that, and it might be the most important, and that is that we need to learn to measure meaning differently. So stop asking, did everything go as planned? Is everyone having fun? But instead start asking something that's going to give you a little more truth. And that is, did we come back to each other when things got hard? Was I able to stay aligned with how I want to show up for my kids? Did my kids feel safe enough, even here, to be themselves? Because if the answer is yes, even sometimes, then it mattered. Then that experience did mean something, even if it didn't look the way that you thought it would. All right. So those are the anchors that I want myself and for you to try to hold on to. And I promise that if we do, we will find ourselves not being just the curator of summer, but an experiencer of summer right alongside our families. Because the moments your kids carry with them aren't the ones that you perfectly planned, even though your planning matters. All right. Again, I'm a big fan of lists and itineraries and spreadsheets. I see you. Keep doing that. That's important. Your planning makes those ordinary moments possible. Okay. Just don't miss out on them because you're checking the schedule or checking the emotions or checking the appreciation. Your kids don't need a perfectly planned day or a flawless vacation or an outing that doesn't have conflict. They just need you to have fun with them, to regulate with them, to play with them, and to hold space for them. All right. That is what creates something lasting. So if you find yourself in this summer and it's in the middle of a moment that's not quite looking the way that you hoped it would, there's a little more tension or mess, or maybe it's a little less magic than you were hoping, just ask instead of, how do I fix this? Or how do I get this back on track? Just pause and ask, how can I stay here and stay connected? Because that is the part that matters. Even if no one takes a picture of it, even if it's not the one that you imagined, all right? Because that's the one they feel. That is where real memories are made. So as we begin the summer season or set out on vacations at any time of year, keep this in your mind and heart. All right, go make memories, but release that pressure to make things perfect. And I promise you will all have so much more fun. Thank you, as always, for being with me here today. I will see you again next week here in the Parenting Lab, where we'll continue to explore the art and science of parenting and put your parenting to the test. Take care, everyone.